Hello, everybody. My name is Bernadette Smith, and I am CEO of Equality Institute. And I wanted to welcome you to Five Things in 15 Minutes with my special guest, Daniel Downer. Daniel, would you mind introducing yourself, please?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Daniel Downer. I use the pronouns he, him, his. I'm one of the associate facilitators with the Equality Institute and really excited to be back with you, Bernadette, for Five Things in 15 Minutes.
Thank you. I'm excited to have you. Good news for those watching who prefer closed captions. We have closed captions again today, and that's very exciting. So, we're back to the software that we were using before. All is well. And let's talk a little bit about what Five Things in 15 Minutes is. So, Five Things in 15 Minutes is your weekly dose of good vibes in diversity, equity, and inclusion. Good vibes in DEI. Every week, I write a newsletter called Five Things that goes out on Saturday morning, which you can subscribe to at fivethingsdei.com. And we'll put that in the chat. And Five Things is really in the world of diversity, equity, and inclusion. The stories which are really exciting. The things that are inspiring. There's a lot of bad news out there, and I prefer to lead from a place of inspiration rather than fear. So it's my goal that every week you will find a story that you're like, wow, that's really cool. We should try that at our company. And that is how the world changes. That is what I want to bring to all of you every week. So if you don't already get it, you can subscribe at fivethingsdei.com. All right, Daniel. So let's have a quick conversation about cancel culture. Last week, I was in this Facebook group where there was a speaker announced for an upcoming event. And the speaker worked for an organization that had some negative press, negative things that they had done that were not exactly inclusive. And so there was a lot of outcry about this choice of speaker. Now, then there was the other side, calling about cancel culture, freedom of speech, etc. And so, I was wondering what your take, without giving you too much details on the specific scenario, I'm wondering what your personal take is on cancel culture and how we can actually get it right, because I think that all voices matter.
Yeah, so thank you so much. This is me using I statements, accountability. I am not a cancel culture advocate. I don't believe in cancel culture. I think there is a way to hold individuals accountable in other ways outside of just like completely canceling them. And I think for me, the harm that cancel culture sometimes creates is that it really does not create a space where that individual can be brought in to really learn some different ways of how they can remedy what is happening and to be able to be held accountable. I almost think of cancel culture as kind of like, okay, we're just going to cut you off and then that's it, right? And so that doesn't leave any room or any opportunity for individuals to recognize what they're really understand, like the harm that they may have caused, the trauma they may have caused. And so I think instead of cancel culture, maybe having more of an accountability culture where we are calling in the action, not necessarily calling out that individual. And we are really, having open and honest and vulnerable dialogue around this is the harm that has been created, this is the trauma that has been created, and these are the ways that we can remedy that. And I think with accountability culture, what I like is that individuals still accountable for their actions. That doesn't mean that, okay, like you're like you just get a pass. No, there are consequences to actions, but I think accountability culture really holds that person to hopefully being open to really changing, right? Like having intentional and meaningful change and transformation. And if they do, that's great. If they don't, then, that's a whole nother conversation. But those are my feelings.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I agree, because I think when we sort of immediately go to the cancellation of folks, then we lose the ability to build a bridge, to have a meaningful conversation, polarized. And, it was an interesting conversation that I was following along with in this Facebook group. But what I was really impressed by was how the host organization responded, because, they were sort of clueless about all this. And their response was, we're grateful for this conversation, because with more diverse perspectives, we can listen, learn, and respond accordingly. Our program planning, marketing, and communication will be better. So, accountability is right. They took responsibility. They committed to doing better. And I think, we're all going to make mistakes. The DEI journey is complex. There are a lot of competing feelings, a lot of competing priorities. And, I make mistakes. I'm sure you do too. Where no one's going to get it right all the time. And I think that's the better approach.
Yeah, and I think, I know we talk a lot at the Quality Institute about thinking outside of just like this side or that side. We really kind of talk about like this fluid spectrum. And I think individuals, one of the things that individuals attached to cancel culture is just kind of like hit them, it's a rapid response, hit them where it's hard. That's going to make them change. And we have seen that, that's really not effective. What it does is it actually creates a culture of fear, where individuals are not able to be in a space where they can learn and where they can grow. And so I'm really glad that was a conversation that took place.
Yeah, and we can continue this conversation for quite a while, but I'll move on to the good vibes. But I really like that what you said about it. People are have this fear, and when we're afraid of getting it wrong, we often don't do anything. So there's just no progress.
And that's just as harmful.
Exactly. All right. So on with the good vibes.
Yeah.
A new study from UCLA found a correlation between authentic representation of diversity in film with higher box office returns and better reviews. So it makes sense that authentic, diverse representation would naturally draw a larger audience. But now we have data, and I love this.
Yeah, I think we are definitely in a space where, from a culture standpoint, as a whole, we're very much more in tune with diversity, with inclusion, and with equity than we have been years before, decades before. And so I think that's really what's resonating with people, is being able to see their identities, see their experiences, see their challenges and hardships, but also, some of their victories on the other side of a screen, right? And so I look forward to us continuing to have more diverse representation in film. And I think we'll continue to see individuals support that, because there's that connection. I think of, I want to say, was it In the Heights, that had like a lot of buzz around representation, and I don't want to mispronounce the name of the title. Encanto,
yeah.
Encanto, excuse me. Both of those films, beautiful, amazing films, and having close colleagues and friends that are part of the Latinx community, and seeing their personal stories on Facebook about how, for the very first time, they felt like they saw themselves. They felt like they saw their experiences in film, was really, really heartwarming. And so I think it's really important. And this is proving that people want to see things that they personally connect with.
Absolutely. And now that there's data behind it, hopefully that means that we start to see more of it.
Yeah.
And, sometimes it takes that hard data for the people that be, the powers that be, many of whom are cisgender straight white men, to to really make these decisions to proceed with diverse representation, diverse everything.
Yeah.
Okay, next up is the San Francisco Giants is doing some construction, and they have bet $1 million into a program to attract and promote more female construction workers. They launched a program that's providing women training in the building trades while giving them stipend, access to childcare, and really giving people from women from historically marginalized groups access to an industry that can pay pretty well, and especially in San Francisco, right?
Yes.
And really giving them accelerated job training. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, I love this. I love what they're doing. I think many times we assign career opportunities and career choices based on the thought process of gender roles and gender expression. And one of the things that we always teach at Equality Institute is how we really are trying to break that of just siloing specific things to a gender role or a gender expression. And so I'm really excited. When I was reading this, I was like, yes, because they are hitting so many things right. Not only a lot of times we talk about the difference between equality and equity. And I think this is a really good example of what equity looks like. It's not only, okay, we are going to provide this opportunity. They're going beyond that by looking at all the nuances that could be possible challenges to these specific marginalized groups. So for women, it could be that they have children, right? And so that access to daycare services is amazing. All those different nuances, and so I think this is a really good example of when we're looking at what does equity look like. This is kind of like what I would point to folks to look to. It's more than just creating this opportunity. It's really looking at every single little detail that could possibly be a barrier or a challenge, because we recognize that it's more than just like survival of the fittest, which seems to be the common theme. Was just like those with the talent, the best talent will always rise to the top, and that is, that's definitely not the way of thinking that we have here at the Institute. And so this is great, and I'm hoping that additional industries will look at this. I want to say like I felt like I've read something about this similarly with the aviation industry, but don't misquote me. But yeah, I really, and this was really a good vibe.
Yeah, we talked about this before, and a few weeks ago about a project in Massachusetts for a YWCA, similar. And also a project, how United is diversifying its pilot training program very intentionally. So all of those are great equity initiatives. And here is another one. I mean, these stories kind of blow my mind. Some of the things I don't even think about. Alison Felix, who is the most decadal history, she used to have Nike as a sponsor. When she got pregnant, Nike basically dropped her as a sponsor, and she went and started her own clothing and footwear line. And one of the policies that she has in her new product, which is called Saysh, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, SAYSH is the name of her brand, is that if a pregnant woman is wearing these Saysh shoes, and then their foot size changes, they can actually return the shoes for a different size at no additional cost. I've never been pregnant, so I've never, had that.
Neither have I.
Experience, right? But these are the types of things that I don't even think about, but it's just another way to be inclusive. It's fantastic. I love these stories.
Yeah, very amazing way to be inclusive. And I think it speaks to, and I think you can resonate with this, it's a privilege not to necessarily in some way experience pregnancy. And it's a privilege to experience pregnancy. And so I love how there is this intentional thought around that experience that individuals go through with throughout their pregnancy. Changing of feet size is something that is pretty common among individuals that are pregnant, and so I think this really is a great way of inclusion, like you were saying,
Mhm.
in such an innovative way.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
how amazing can you imagine if all of the major footwear companies started doing that? It'd be
yeah,
really wild. It's
yeah.
super cool.
And
All right.
I wouldn't be surprised if they will start. We'll
Yeah.
probably see, 5 years from now, that trend happening,
Yeah.
because we know this, that um, as much as individuals may push back, that meaningful diversity, equity, and inclusion is sustainable, and from a business standpoint, it does increase your profits.
Absolutely. And you've got to start somewhere, and there's so many different places to start. All right, next up is Mastercard, which is one of my favorite brands to follow. And a lot of companies now are tying executive bonuses to DEI and environment, social, and governance goals. But Mastercard is not just tying leader bonuses to those goals, but they're tying all employee bonuses to those goals, which, it's sometimes for people to really start to care about DEI, there has to be some sort of financial incentive, right? And if so, if MasterCard is taking this seriously and holding and making it so that all employees could benefit from inclusion, it's pretty powerful. It's something that I haven't seen any other company or any other major brand of that size do. I love it.
Yeah, I enjoyed reading this, and it made me think about the growing trend, like you said, of companies and corporations tying DEI work to their talent. And so I think it speaks really powerful in a way, because it's not only specifically tied to one group or one part of the corporation or company. It's showing that we're really invested in this. We really want this. We really want to transform and shift our culture completely and entirely. And this is the way. This is the way that we're doing. And as you said, money talks, right?
It's great.
Resources talk. So I really enjoy. I really am glad that they are doing that. They are leading in this movement, and I'm sure that there are other companies and corporations out there that are following suit or will be following suit.
Absolutely. All right. And our last story this week is from the jewelry to brand Kendra Scott, which is mostly a female employee, which has mostly women employees. And they are now making Mother's Day a corporate holiday. So corporate employees have that Monday off. Retail employees get time and a half for working that day. And I think they get the next day off. So it's pretty cool. It's putting women first. It's putting mothers first. And, even if it is a PR stunt, which it may or may not be, it's the first company that I've seen to do this. A lot of these things could be PR stunts, but it doesn't matter to me because at the end of the day, it's still progress. And so that's one thing one final thing I'm celebrating this week.
Yeah, I love when I read stories about companies, corporations, organizations that are very much in tune with not only the communities that they serve or that are that they provide their business to, but also their employees and their staff. And so I thought that that was very much in my mind. I was like, oh, this is very on brand.
Right?
This is very on brand for them. But I think once again, like you said, there are opportunities for us and for other companies and corporations to kind of learn from this and kind of, as I would say, up the ante and take it up another level, right? And so this was really, really great, great story to read, especially since Mother's Day, I believe, is coming soon.
Yeah, a few
Yeah.
weeks.
Yep. So very much on brand, but I think also brings in the conversation of, just being in tune with the communities that you're connected to and that your employees are connected to. And how can you affirm and celebrate those intersections?
Absolutely. Then those are wonderful parting words, Daniel. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank
Um,
you.
5 things in 15 minutes. Thank you all for watching. Hope that you can start your week with some good vibes in DEI, and we will see you next week. Take care. Bye, everyone.
Yeah. Bye.